Welcome to Challenger Deep, athletes rising above adversity, where we explore stories of athletes who faced their lowest points and risen to incredible heights. Did you know Challenger Deep is the lowest point in the ocean, making it the lowest point on Earth? When you're at your lowest, the beautiful truth is there's nowhere to go but up. We all face adversity, but how we choose to respond defines who we become. Join hosts Jeff Heggie and Tammy McLachlan as we share powerful stories of everyday athletes' resilience, growth, and triumph. These stories will inspire you to rise above your challenges and reach new heights. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome everyone to Challenger Deep, Athletes Rising Above Adversity, the podcast. This is something that I'm really excited about. We've talked a lot about the book, and Tammy and I had wrote this book, and she came to me and with the idea of since we wrote the book, that we've come across so many more stories, and how do we share them? And she thought about this idea of creating the podcast, and I think it's amazing. And we're excited to be able to do this because there's so many incredible stories that we hear that really are the whole idea of the book. It's to help people look at people that have been successful and realize that they have gone through their own adversity. They've gone through their own challenges, and by facing them, rising above, they become better and they become who they are. And so one of the things I love to say is we're all going to face adversity. It's how we choose to deal with it that will determine who we become. So today I'm really excited to have our first guest, tight end from the Cincinnati Bengals, Tanner McLachlan, alumni of the Confident Athlete program, and someone that I love very much. And so, Tanner, thank you for being here with us. It's an honor to have you here, and it's going to be great to have this conversation. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want to get into your story, Tanner.
Yeah, obviously you know this, Jeff. I was born and raised in Lethbridge, Alberta. Grew up a Canadian kid. Spent 18 years there, and really, like, the thing Canada taught me the most was to love the game and play for fun. The Canadian culture up there is just different. It's a different culture up there. Obviously, America, like, the goal from day one. I remember when I got here, there's kids. When I got to the States, I did 1 year of high school in Arizona. And there's kids in 10th grade lifting more than me, and I was like, okay, I obviously am behind. So I figured that out real quick when I got down to the States for that 1 year of high school. But did that, got to Southern Utah. I was blessed to receive a scholarship to go to Southern Utah. So I went there for 3.5 years and really didn't, you talk about adversity. That was the most adversity I had gone through. We wasn't where I wanted to be mentally, physically, with football, with just in everything in life. And but I powered through it. I kept going. You wake up the next day, you keep going, whatever. And fast forward, I get to Arizona, go play at Arizona for a couple of years, and obviously just wrapping up this one last year with the Bengals. And I've been trying to reflect these last few days of how much I've really gone through to get here, because it's easy once you do it. You can do it again once you do it once, but it's really been a lot of adversity. It's really, what's shaped me to be who I am today.
That's awesome. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about those challenges you had. And we've had these conversations before of you being there and betting on yourself and knowing you can do it. So let's start at the beginning. Kid from Southern Alberta. How many kids in Southern Alberta have made it to the NFL, right? So
Yeah.
I want to talk about the reality of that and the whole idea of where you started creating your goals and how you wanted to go about that.
I mean, there's so many things that go into it, because this, again, I was a basketball player growing up, so my goals changed over time and through different challenges and different life experiences. But I remember one day I went I was back in Canada, and this is once I had got to college. So I was late in the process, but I had gotten to college and I went back to Canada, and I put 4 pictures on my wall. They're still in my bedroom wall today. And there was a picture of Gronkowski, George Kittle, and Travis Kelce. And I put those 3, and I put myself right next to it in the bottom right corner. And I had never really done goal setting, never really dived into it. But that was kind of my first thing that I remember, and like remember making a difference. Because then that whole time I was home, I woke up thinking, okay, like I need to start aligning myself with these guys. Like these are the best in the world. They're the best at what I do. How can I be that? How can I become that? And it was just that constant daily visual reminder. I mean that was the goal setting. That's kind of what started building that from a not just a it's so easy to go play and just go play football, go play basketball, whatever your sport is. It's easy to go play, but setting intentional goals, and obviously you talk about this in your book, and what you're trying to do is great because you're trying to implement these into young kids. If I could go back, I would do that. I would do the exact same thing. I would implement it from a young age, because you're going to go through so many things, and your mindsets are going to change. And it's really just like, what goals have you implemented from a young age can you stick to, and what dreams have you implemented from a young age and can you stick to it? And I'm going off on a tangent here, but it really it comes down to things like that. It's the little things that you just start, and why not dream outside the box. I never would have expected my high school self. I would have never in a million years expected to be in the NFL. But why not? Like why couldn't it be me? And it took me way too long to realize that. And I that's something I regret. Obviously it worked out, but if anyone's listening to this, I would say set your goals high, shoot for the stars, shoot beyond the stars. Because who cares what anyone thinks? Because you're gonna look back and be like, oh, nobody cared anyway. So just if I could say anything, that's what I would say. But again, sorry, we went off on a bit of a tangent there.
No, I love that, because I think first of all, your message of coming from, Southern Alberta to high school to, no offense to Southern Utah, but most people probably have not heard of Southern Utah.
No clue, no clue.
So the step-by-step journey, I think, is such an inspiration to any athlete out there in any sport. But you mentioned this word, and I want to kind of dive into it. Jeff and I both believe, and throughout the stories in our book, we notice the elite athletes have a powerful why. They know why they're getting up at 4 a.m. to go work out. They know why, when they get that no from a recruiter, to keep going and to keep pushing. They know when they have an injury, to keep pushing through. So tell us your why, your bigger picture for football, and how that has guided you.
Yeah, my why wasn't always as crystal clear as it is today. It developed over time, and it changed over time as well. I will tell a lot of kids, and this is just my philosophy because I've lived it, is who can suffer the longest, who can suffer through those 4 a.m.s, those early mornings. A great example, and I always think about, is Jeff, with Tia and Daxon. And when I was in my super senior year down there at Arizona, I hadn't figured out my why yet. I was just playing for the love still. Tia and Daxon were getting up way earlier than me every morning to go get shots up or to go get workouts in, whatever, before I was even awake. And that was one of my early realizations, oh, these guys, they have a why, they're trying to go get after it. And it took me a little longer than I wish, but I was able to suffer through those years of not having a true why. And so that's why I outlasted. But once you figure out that why, it makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier to stick to your routine, to stick to all your goals. Your goals, I mean, you see them so clearly when you have a why. So it's essential. You look at, I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by literally the best in the world at what they do. And their why is just they want to be the greatest in the world. So you see that and it's oh, how can I not hop on board? These people are amazing. They're literally, I'll emphasize, they're the best in the world. So you wake up, you get up in the morning, you see them next to you. It's not hard to have a why. So that why takes time, and it's everybody's process is different, but the sooner you really jump into it. A great example for a lot of kids, maybe you're not growing up in the financial situation that you see other people around, and you should not compare yourself to other people, but it's just the reality of it. Make sports, make school your why. Like, get yourself out of that financial situation. Like, go help yourself, go help your family. I've been so blessed to be able to help my family. And it's like just little things, there's so much you can do, and it gives you that peace and freedom. And not everyone's going to go to the NFL, but if you go play Division I athletics, it will teach you how to be I'm speak from a man perspective, teaches you how to be a man, teaches you how to handle your business, handle your work, and get up and do stuff you don't want to do, and suffer through stuff you don't want to do. And I apologize again, I'm going off on a tangent, but I feel really strongly about this stuff. So everyone's different, but the why is obviously essential for everyone.
This episode of Challenger Deep Athletes Rising Above Adversity podcast is brought to you by doTERRA, the world's leader in essential oils and wellness products. Ready to fuel your health and recovery like a pro? Listeners of this podcast can get 25% off doTERRA products and supplements. Head to www.confidentathleteprogram.com/doTERRA and start your journey to peak performance today.
I think that's awesome, Tanner, because it's been really cool to watch you progress with that. I mean, for those that are watching this on video versus the audio, that last year of high school when you moved in with us, what were you, 180 pounds at the time?
Yeah.
And you can see on video he's definitely not that anymore. But you had some definite goals. Like, you were there to get a Division I scholarship. And then watching that, and so with the whole idea of facing adversity and stuff, I just want you to share your story too of, you got to Southern Utah, you got that Division I scholarship, but like you said, at that point, you had bigger goals. Like I remember you talking about it and saying, I'm going to get to the league. And that was like, that's the NFL, dude. And that's big time. And so the adversity you went through that whole process, because I want you to share your story about the knee and then the whole betting on yourself and walking away from a full ride scholarship because you thought it was the best thing to achieve your goals.
Yeah. Southern Utah was not easy. My first year, undersized, like you mentioned, like underdeveloped, didn't know what I was doing. I had like my wants and desires, but I didn't have a why. I didn't have a strong like reasoning for wanting to do that. I just knew like, oh, I just need to do this. And as time has gone on, it's gotten easier and easier and easier because of that. But going through the adversity, my second year there, I had so many soft tissue injuries because I was a tight end. So I put this weight on very fast, and you saw me, how much I was eating back in the day, and literally eating anything just to get some weight on my bones. And obviously I put it on a little too fast, had hamstring soft tissue issues that second year. And then the third year came along and COVID started hitting. And we had that weird spring season and tore my ACL that third game out in Idaho. And I mean, you can go two ways when you have a major surgery and injury like that. You can either say like, I was going into my fourth year, I could have been done. Or you can say, no, I'm going to attack this, and I'm going to attack it with every bit, because your goals, they stand true. You still have those wants and desires. And I've never been okay with just like being okay. Like, I've always had that consistent desire to be the best. And, some people have it and some people don't, but I believe you can build yourself to do that, and you can build yourself in that area. But with the adversities with the knee, I mean, going through that it just taught me that nobody's looking out for me except for me. With the ACL, I found that out, and that's why I decided to make that jump to Arizona, because I knew like, well, I'm not getting what I need out of Southern Utah. Yes, they're offering me the scholarship. They're offering me comfortability. Comfortability is a huge thing. Like, it's easy to be comfortable. It's easy to be in a situation where like you're at peace, whatever. Things are easy. You wake up, the routine. And Arizona was a huge, stressful jump for me because I knew I got to go meet a new staff, got to go meet a new team, strength program, training program, like you name it. It's all new. And not to mention walking on, that had its own stressing. But, going through that, it only built me stronger and only made me, who I am today and really pushed me to get to the NFL because the people in the NFL are different. If I wouldn't have gone through that, would I probably still made it to the NFL? Probably. But it's the journey along the way that builds your why and builds your reasonings for waking up and going through those adversities. For me, I've found God through my adversities, and it's been a blessing and an honor that I've been able to do that because it's only strengthened my game. It's only strengthened my why. I play for something so much greater than me now, which makes football super easy. And I never thought when I tore my ACL I'd be grateful for it, but I wouldn't be sitting here today without tearing that ACL and going through that adversity. So I have nothing but good things to say about it.
That's awesome, and I'm smiling because I'm a big believer. My favorite motto is "This is good," and that we sometimes have to have challenges in life for something different yet often better to happen. So I love seeing that with the injuries, but I'd work with a lot of athletes that deal with the injury. And like you said, you can go one of two ways. But take me into some of your mindset of you have this injury, and then you are giving up a full ride to walk on. I mean, that's almost unheard of. And so the injury, and then you're giving up the scholarship, and that those two things help. And that scholarship are what a lot of high school athletes are looking for the most. So those two coupled, what was the mindset behind that?
There's two things that kind of popped into my head right away was like I had established my goals and desires. I knew like I needed to be surrounded by the best of the best. And when you surround yourself with greatness, you have no choice. You're either going to flop and you're going to fall off, or you're going to follow in suit and you're going to get on board. And no disrespect to Southern Utah, because they did everything I needed. I developed in a great little city, great program. I'm super grateful for those 3.5 years. But making that jump to Arizona, I knew I was investing in myself, in my time, in my energy, knowing that, okay, I'm going to go be around better players, better coaches, NFL coaches. That's only going to help me get to my ultimate goal that much faster, that much cleaner, however you want to go about it. So I knew like, oh, this year is going to it's going to be tough. Like I'm going to have to work my butt off to get to where I want to be by the end of the year. But I also could see it. I envisioned it. I'm a big believer in like envisioning things. I mean, as a football player, like I just see like football, you just see football. So when you envision things, like I'm a dreamer, I'm a believer. And, when I made that jump, I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, like if this goes the way I think it can go, God willing, like I should be where I want to be in the next couple of years. And of course there was question marks along the way. Of course, my second month there, I was questioning like, oh, can I really do this? I had lots of questions, but it's as simple as going to bed with like maybe some worry on your mind, but waking up the next day knowing it's a new day. You got to go be the best version of yourself and really just go work at it and try and create yourself, create who you really want to be. And that was another thing Arizona did for me, is it allowed me to step in with a clean slate and just, come in knowing I was going to outwork everyone. And that's all I focused on that first year. I earned my right to be a scholarship player on that team. I earned my right to, contribute to that offense that fall season. So.
And you produced the results while you were there. I mean, there's a lot of good things that happened while you're there, and we appreciated you making that transfer and being a lot closer to us. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And, that first game, going out to that first game in California, and you coming over after saying, hey, I'm on scholarship. And, that the first step to when you broke Gronk's records. And, there was so many good things that happened there. Now, was that the end of adversity? Well, let's talk about what happened around the combine and the draft, and let's talk about that.
Yeah. Every year brings its own set of challenges and adversity, and every year you get callous to it. You learn how to deal with it a little bit better, so that the next season, you know what to expect. But it's always different. It always brings a new set, but it prepares you. And so the draft it was a whole that was a whole deal. I mean, I worked my tail off for 2 years at Arizona to get where I wanted to be, going into the combine, going into the draft, and really making a name for myself. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of everyone that allowed me to get there, because I definitely could not do that on my own. The combine was, I mean, my body was beat up. I was tired. I was beat up. Like, we didn't take it easy at Arizona. We had, our strength staff came from Bama, so they do it an old-fashioned way, a very hardworking program, which was awesome for my transition to the NFL. But that's a story for another time. But yeah, I mean, going through that combine process, you have no, like, you question things, like, am I as good as I am? And you have to fight those feelings off every single day, because, I mean, you go from being the best on your team, then you're or surrounded by a bunch of great tight ends. Like Brock Bowers is a great example. Dude was the best tight end in the NFL this year. He's in the same rookie class as me. So I'm like, this guy's like, I mean, he is better than me. He's a great tight end. He's an amazing tight end. So you have to have your own confidence, and you have to be confident in yourself, and trust the work, and trust everything that you've gone through. But speak on the adversity I went through the combine. I was going through my core issues. I ended up getting surgery for the draft, and that might have dinged me down. I'm never going to make an excuse. Where I fell is obviously where God wanted me to fall, but kind of knocked me down. And you can take it two ways. You can take it one way and be like, man, like, feel sorry for yourself, and be like, well, why me? But and you take it the other way, I'm like, no, like, you get drafted, like, you're blessed, like, you have an opportunity to go showcase your talents. And a few years back, my goal was just to make it to the NFL, just to put an NFL jersey on, just to say I played in it. So that's why I always say, like, goals change over time, and shoot for the stars early, because no one can tell you can't do it. But it gets easier. It gets easier with time, and you got to be surrounded by the right group of people, the right, I call it support staff. Football always has support staff, but that's your family. That's the people that mentor you, the people you work with. You want people in your corner that are going to maximize your potential and maximize your game, because your window is so small. Like, yes, you have 4 years to play college football, 4 years to play college sports, 4 years to play high school sports, whatever. And God willing, you make it to your professional sport. And this is anything. This is just life. But it's so small in the grand scheme of things. Once you're done, you're done. So do you want to look back and be like, oh, I gave it everything I had? Or do you want to look back and be like, oh, I messed up. I could have done so much more. So it's always worth it. It's always worth it.
I love you are a perfect example of the model that Jeff and I have used with the book in a lot of our teachings. We call it the circle of success, and that anyone can overcome any type of adversity if you have three parts to that circle. Number one is unity, and you just hit on that. We can't create success alone, and I loved how you highlighted that. Number two is confidence in yourself. And then number three is right-minded focus. I like to say your why is in the middle of it, keeping that circle going and churning. But without even prompting you, I love how you just reaffirmed those key points to the circle.
This has been the perfect interview for what we imagine this podcast to be, because you've hit on all of those things. One thing that you were just talking about was actually something I wanted to ask you about. The goal was get to the league, and you did it. So now what? Where's Tanner McLachlan going?
Well, this year has given me the peace of mind to know that there's so much more than football. But that's not my calling yet. My calling right now is to be the best Cincinnati Bengal for as long as I'm on contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. I hope it's my whole career. I love the Cincinnati organization. I love it here. They have let me grow and develop and get better here. So I can never thank them enough for that. But I also know I got to put my end into it too. I know next year I got to be ready to play, and when my opportunity comes, I'm going to maximize it. But I don't want to put any ceilings on anything. I have no idea where I'm going to go, but I know I'm playing in this league for a long time, and I know I'm one thing you can always do as a player, you can always be a great teammate, and you can always outwork the guy next to you. That's something I've always lived by. You can look around the room and you can see okay, are you working harder than everyone, or are you getting outworked? If you can do that and you can be a great teammate and just come to work, be on time, do your job, I mean, you can play as long as you want. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Well, I know the original interview you did with Jeff several years ago was betting on yourself. After this interview, I'm betting on you as well.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tanner. This is exactly how we want to start off this podcast, having a conversation like this, because it's exactly what our audience needs to hear, that you can overcome adversity, you can set those huge goals and achieve them. And when you fight through that adversity, when you have that ACL, all those things that could give you the opportunity to say, you know what, it's time to hang it up, that you can push through it and you can really achieve great things like you have, Tanner. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time today, and we really appreciate it. Love you, Tanner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be the first guest. I really do appreciate it. And if anyone's still listening to this, I would say, please just invest in yourself, invest in your body, invest in your mental, and you have one shot at this life, maximize it. Don't settle for less. You deserve everything. You deserve everything in this life, and God is great. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Challenger Deep, Athletes Rising Above Adversity. We hope these stories inspire and equip you to tackle life's challenges head on. Don't forget to visit www.confidentathleteprogram.com/Challenger Deep to get all of our free resources from the book, your copy of our book, and access to 2 free weeks of the Confident Athlete Program. Remember, in life, adversity only visits the strong. It stays forever with the weak. Let's rise above together. See you next time.